There we are. We are live. It's Tommy Gallant
and Adrian Hanks.
And Adrian Hanks.
Yeah, the Corporate Alchemist Project.
Correct.
Tommy and I are in partnership in this great project that's unfolded, 3-4 months now, Tommy? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was
It's
pre-COVID, wasn't it? You know, like,
Pre-COVID,
Yeah.
we went into COVID, and it was the right time to be doing this sort of thing.
Yeah,
You know,
sitting
people
around
a lot
just
more
chatting.
receptive. yeah, but just sitting here just talking.
Yeah.
Hey, Stephen, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, so look.
So yeah, your weekend. Tell me about your
Oh,
weekend.
man, yeah, look, I've just got
You've
back.
been where? You're
Actually,
gonna make. You're gonna,
so I've been down to Byron Bay. You know, my old haunt. I lived there for 9 years, and got a great community, got great friends.
I didn't know you lived
Yeah,
there.
I lived in Byron. Well, actually, just outside in Bangalow, I don't know if you know.
Right.
But beautiful little bungalow up in
Oh,
the,
Bangalow,
in the
okay,
hill.
it's nearby.
Yeah, so we were there, and so Byron's my community, my connection. Got good
You'd
friends
never
there.
think, right?
Would never pick Adrian being a Byron boy.
Yeah,
was it, really?
yeah,
So,
no.
And so down there, I just actually drove back from. I left there at 6 a.m. this morning.
Right.
Got back to the Gold Coast about 7:30. Straight in the ocean, had a swim. Got a couple of waves on my body surfing. Started my day. I was on a webinar this morning at 9 o'clock with some other men doing a webinar on there.
Okay.
On the campfire.
Right.
Which is great. And
Okay.
here we are.
The virtual campfire.
The weekend was great. Like mostly it was just letting go, Tommy, and relaxing.
Decompress.
Fine.
You did the Soulful Sunday
I
and the
did
social
Soulful Sunday.
Saturday
I actually
thing.
put those up on the other station.
Right, the other
Not
station,
mentioned.
on the LI
LI
station. Right.
So I did a social Saturday. Had a great Saturday, and then I drove down Saturday afternoon to Byron. Spent Saturday evening down there socialising, and all day Sunday.
Awesome.
We were in the ocean. We went for a run on the beach
Yeah,
at the
yep.
Suffolk Park near Byron. Did about 4 Ks. Then got in the
Nice.
ocean for half an hour.
Nice.
Then went for brekkie, and the whole day then was whale watching. Sort of about 20 whales, sort of about 100 dolphins. Saw 3 sharks down in the reef. Saw 5 turtles.
Were you swimming at this time?
No,
right.
no.
That'd be advisable.
Off the lighthouse there, just looking down over the
Oh,
cliff face.
wow.
Just
Yeah,
get
I
to
know
see
where
the
it
sharks
is.
down there.
Yeah.
It's pretty common to see the sharks. So,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, so just an amazing letting go, soulful Sunday.
Soulful Sunday.
Really connecting to myself.
I mean, Byron Bay's
Yeah.
a pretty easy place to
It
go.
was,
Soulful
yeah.
Sunday, right?
Yeah, and good food, good company.
right.
I've come back really refreshed, ready for the week. It's going to be a full-on week.
Right.
You know, I'm getting into a few different environments this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw that plug in because
That was a clue.
Tommy, what's going on this week? What's the topic for the week?
Right. Well, as you know, today is Move It Monday.
Move It Monday, yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you the topic right yet, but I just did a little 4K run myself with Arky, who's here. Which, just to explain, I know the unshaven appearance is sort of like uncharacteristic for me, but my little guy likes the hair on the face. So I've been growing the hair as I do every holiday, school holidays. But talking about this week, the theme, and what a beautiful, shall I say, environment that we have here, because this week is all about environment. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so what does that mean? We're talking about the first part of the week. That was the question you were going to ask me, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you can ask yourself. Yeah, so it's very much about the physiological as well. You know, what environment are we in terms of maybe, gut health, maybe the sort of environment around the exercise, the gym environment, getting into the physical body. So the environment in terms of physical environment is probably the way to start here on the beginning of the week. And then we'll get into a bit more into the mental environment, what's going on in the mind environment. And then, of course, we can expand right out into that spiritual environment, about what's going on to the spiritual aspect of our being. And then if we want, we can go right out into that, the black hole
of the
environment,
of the quantum sphere.
Yeah, we can go into the Torus fields and beyond.
Oh, God.
Get into that,
Okay.
way out there if we want to.
We're
But
gonna
for now,
burn some
let's
incense
come back
and
to
the-
some
yeah.
building blocks, the
Building
atoms
blocks.
and the carbons and
Back down to the
back
core.
down to the core.
Bacteria. From a matter point of view.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving out of matter from last week to environmental.
Yeah. And what a great topic last week, Tommy.
Wasn't it?
Space and matter.
Oh, mate.
And it really opened my eyes up a lot to this idea of how much space I live in.
Right.
Yeah, it really has this, it was been in my consciousness all week going, I have so much space. I really have, physical space, mental space, spiritual space. Living here on the Goldie, space.
Yes.
I look at the ocean, there's so much space above the ocean. The sky is like an expanse of space. So it's been forefront of the mind a lot about how do I create more
mental
space for me?
like you're saying, right, as well.
Yeah, like yesterday was mental space.
Emotional space.
Yeah, it was no worries, no cares yesterday. Didn't think about work yesterday.
Yeah.
Didn't have to worry about clients yesterday.
Right.
So I gave myself space to be yesterday.
Well,
and that was really important.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic. I mean, even people that are professing this, then the pressure comes on for us to continue to deliver to our following and those that are sharing time with us, which we're forever grateful, because it means that we're having some sort of positive impact on especially where we're headed and where things are at right now. But environment,
and that's what we're creating. If you sense what we're trying to create in CAP, we're creating a new environment. That paradigm we're trying to create is a new environment.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe that's a good place to begin a little bit. Because there might be some new people on here who don't know what CAP is. Corporate outputs.
Corporate outputs.
Can we have a little overview from you, Tommy, perhaps on the environment of the CAP?
Of CAP.
Good place to start.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. I mean, it's all encompassing, right? As a word, environment means obviously everything around you. And one of the topics we will drill into is epigenetics, and epi kind of means things around or surrounding, or like an epicenter, for example. It's a Greek prefix. Actually, came from my heritage, or at least half of it, as I found out, because when I genetically analysed myself on having done many tests, I finally did an ancestry one. I know I'm segueing a bit here. But before you put me back on the track,
that's unusual for you.
Yeah, no worries, huh? Thanks. Sorry, no worries. So look.
Back from the segue. Back to you.
I segue from the segue.
For your heritage.
Yeah, back to the heritage. I find out that I am not 100% Greek as I thought I was. Ooh. I find out that even though my mother came from Pyrgos, a village near Olympia in the Peloponnese of Greece, that I'm thinking, okay, Greek, it's a bit more Spartan flavoured there, and then my father from Rhodes, I'm thinking, I'm 100% Greek. Right? To find out that I am 50% Greek, and since my father came from Rhodes, which is closest Greek island to Turkey, 3% Turkish, remaining is 47%. And where do you think that came from? Italiano.
There you go, man.
Italy.
So there might be a story in there somewhere.
Somewhere back in the gladiatorial days.
Some stories in there.
In between the
cross-fertilization somewhere.
Right. Times between the Olympics and being in the what's the name of the big arena in Italy, in Rome, the Colosseum.
Oh, the Colosseum.
Right. Yeah. Something was going on somewhere between there. Anyway, all right. Getting back to environment, place to start, and you mentioned
CAP,
Corporate Alchemist Project. Thanks. That what we're trying to do here is create an environment that is also going to encapsulate the corporate world, and creating an environment where people actually feel more comfortable revealing, I guess, if you want to use some of the words, and these tend to become a bit cliche after a while, but anyway, bear with me, but vulnerability. Right? And creating an environment where people feel okay to be vulnerable is not only a super healthy thing to do, it's damn good for business these days. If you want to attract talent, if you want to keep talent, you've got to create an environment that people feel comfortable in, to be totally open in, so that they can bring their creativity and their best to the table. Right? Now, we know that as a concept, but how do you actually do that? And so then bring it right down to the core matter piece that you were mentioning before, how we're going from this environment of Soulful Sunday, Social Saturday, and then going right down to the smallest little thing, whatever that is. It's not so much matter as it is actually space, right? And there's energy in there. So everything is energy. Now let's just talk about atoms. Atoms are in molecules, and these molecules also have these like bonds where they stick together, and depending on how strong those bonds are, it can be air, liquid, solid, whatever. Now,
neutrons, protons,
all those
things. My science days.
There we go. So yeah, I mean, it's like electrons, protons, subatomic particles, right? Which are incredibly small, but let's put them together into a thing called a cell, right? And so you've got these molecules, you've got these strands of this stuff called DNA, right? And within your DNA strands, you have genes, right? And each of those genes can produce up to about like 3,000 proteins, right? Now, here's the thing. You got your genes from who?
Heritage.
Heritage, mum and dad, and from mum and dad's mum and dad,
Awesome
mum and dad,
Italians.
right? And so Italians, as I find out, right? And no wonder I love salami, and I haven't had that for quite a good time because it's not healthy for you. Sorry to say, cured meats in general. But when we're talking about the environment around the cell, even though mum and dad load the gun, so to speak, we are the ones that pull the trigger based on our lifestyle factors. Which let me bring that back to CAP.
Yep.
This is why we designed Corporate Alchemist Project, right, to be around 7 days of the week to create balance environmentally in your life around the portfolio of life. For me, it's Move It Monday, which is today, Tasty Tuesday, the food, exercise, Wellness Wednesday, about recovery, sleep, those sorts of things.
Yep. Then Thoughtful Thursday.
Thursday.
Freedom Friday.
Freedom Friday.
Social Saturday.
Yep.
And Soulful Sunday. I love that. Soulful Sunday.
I'm on the Freedom Friday to Social Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like,
I get the Sunday and go,
yeah, let's go to Byron. Yeah, I'm not jealous.
Yeah.
Although it's only an hour away.
Have a look behind.
Yeah, sorry.
Have a look
Spoiled. I really do appreciate what I got. No complaints, God. Loving this. So, when you are with those 7 things are like the knobs of life that you can turn, and the thing is, how you turn those is specific to each individual, right? Because we've got a set of software in a software library, and you want to pull out the ones that are gonna give you the best result, right, for you as a human being physiologically, because we're talking about the first half of the week on the content that we cover, right? It's those lifestyle factors and getting those balanced. And Corporate Alchemist Project is about creating an environment even above that, because we go eat, move, sleep, EMS. I realised you can go EMS again for the second part of the week, which is emotional,
mental and spiritual. So
EMS.
There you go, mate.
There we go, right?
Genius. This guy's a genius. Right. So you might want to copyright that.
Yeah. It's a trademark.
Quick. Go on, EMS.
Right, EMS.
Sounds a bit. It's like if you think of EM, and then think of Einstein.
Yes.
It's like you've got this EMS theory now. You can.
Well, the EMS theory, not EU, because MC squared.
EMS, that's what I'm thinking.
Right. EMS
equals Tommy
equals
squared.
MS squared, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I just got that vision in my head of
there
Tommy.
You go. God, okay, he reckons I go on segues. You get us both creating, it gets out of control.
It's because I'm chilled and relaxed.
You are. I can feel it in the vibe, right? The frequency you're at right now. I'm the one that's a bit hyper right now. So, that's so environmentally around the cell. Epigenetics, the study of epigenetics, and there's a famous guy about this who's based out of Byron Bay.
It comes and goes.
Comes and goes, right?
Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Dr. Bruce Lipton. Go and do some YouTube searches on that
Biology
guy.
of Belief.
Great
Seriously,
book. Great book. That'll change your life.
And maybe just one quick story on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I remember from the most powerful thing I remember from that is Bruce's story. And I've met Bruce a few times, and I've been to quite a few of his presentations. And he talked about what happened was he was working in the field, looking at DNA structures, and he was in the science lab, and he had something in a petri dish. And while he was leaving, he left the petri dish out and put it in another place in the lab.
Right.
So when he came back and looked at the substance in the petri dish, the cells, and they'd been in a different environment. I can't remember where he left them there over the weekend or overnight. But when he put them under the microscope, they were different than the other cells that he'd put, I think, in the fridge or wherever he put them. Yeah. And he suddenly clicked and went, it's the environment that changes the cell.
Yeah.
So his whole work I think has changed the whole shift of paradigm in the understanding of DNA and the environment.
It has.
Because of one, let's call it a mistake.
Yeah.
Of, no such thing as a mistake, but he left that petri dish out and had a moment where he went, aha.
Yep.
it's not just from the gene pool, it's the environment.
It's the environment.
And so everything for me about what Bruce is bringing, what others are now bringing, is let's look at the environment that the cell, or we, live in.
Yep.
Because that changes everything.
It does.
You can get two twins, like, from the same...
Exactly.
Yep. From the same parents.
Yep.
They can live in two different environments.
Yep.
And two totally different characters.
Different influences,
Yep.
different food,
Yep.
different. They start to change location.
Yep.
So biochemically, there still is a lot of biochemical individuality.
Yep.
Because they're switching on and switching off different bits of software. The way it's being, as though the medical term is transcribed, or the scientific term is how it's being read. And with the DNA strand, it can read, the beginning, the end, the middle, right? And there's actually a sheath, protein sheath over the DNA strand that opens and closes, right, to actually transcribe. But we won't go much deeper in the science, because that's getting to the limits of my scientific knowledge
also
anyway.
We start going to the soul quality of that as well,
right.
the individual soul.
Right.
So that's,
so that's later part of the week. We're going to get to that. And
Yeah.
talking about environment from a human and social point of view too.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great subject later in the week, right? When I get to interview you. But you also mentioned or touched on, I think, like the gut. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Gut health.
Gut health.
The environment, I call it the garden in the belly.
Garden in the belly.
So maybe,
right?
I know that's some part of your expertise. So maybe talk about that internal environment.
Yep.
For a while.
Well,
Looking after that, you're doing the gardening in the gut.
Yeah. Like we are, give or take a few, about 50 trillion cells.
Is that all?
That's all.
Just a few.
50 trillion cells.
So if I lose a few brain cells, it's okay.
It's okay. We can regenerate them. The thing is, we become, in the past, we have, we age because we're producing less cells or bringing new stem cells in than we're damaging.
Yes.
So the P&L, profit and loss, if we're going to put some corporate terms on this,
there you go.
is that we're starting to experience a bit of a loss
Yep.
in how many new cells that we're bringing in.
Really.
And also there's a build-up of what they would call senescent cells or zombie cells that are kind of stuck. They're kind of seized up. They're not dead.
Yep.
And they're kind of like the ones you want to clean out too. And this is where fasting comes in from an environment point of view, where it's like putting the car up on the hoist, right? Every quarter. And every quarter is probably a good time to do for example, Dr. Longo, Volta Longo in Italian. And, he's sort of a world-renowned expert now on fasting.
Italians are suddenly experts now. You're
we've got to look after each other. The long.
Last week you would have spoken about Italians, but now he's Italian. He's going to bring all the Italian.
There we go. Yeah. By the way, it doesn't mean go and eat a whole lot of pizza. By the way, because that's one of the worst things you can do. And I love
unless
pizza.
it's a cauliflower base.
Is it cauliflower base? Here we go, gluten-free cauliflower base, and the non-dairy cheese, whatever else. Right? But 50 trillion cells, and here's what's crazy. It's like we are 1% or so. Our genetic DNA is 1% of that. So you think, hang on, whoa, Tommy. So 50, right? And 1% of the DNA. So you think, how is that working? We're 10%, I think, of the cell count, about 1% of the DNA. So I think about that, we're right way around. Either way, we are so small, a part of all of that. So where are all these other cells coming from, right? It's what they call the microbiome. And about 70% of that lives in your stomach, the garden that you're talking about, right? The rest is on your skin, right? The biggest organ in the body, right? Next to, I think, your intestinal tract. And so we've got this symbiotic, in other words, this interdependent relationship with all these germs.
Totally.
Bacteria and so on, right? But we want the ones that are non-pathogenic. In other words, the ones that are supporting us, the healthy ones,
the good ones,
right? The ones that excrete stuff that we kind of want, right? And also the ones that go and eat the bad dudes and knock them out. So there's a whole ecosphere, garden, going on in our bodies, but 70% in our stomach. Now, when you look at that, you've got that tank, that sort of fuel tank, and that engine, right? You want to make sure you're putting the right fuel in environmentally, because once again, we're talking about the environment we're creating around the cell. And so these guys interact with our cells, our DNA. So we're such a small part of the overall DNA that we are supporting in this ecosphere. And then there's the mind, of course. We'll let you go with that later in the week.
And
you
the
can
immune,
talk about that.
and the immune system, of course.
And the immune system.
Yeah, because if we're eating unhealthy food continually, the immune system's just constantly working to clean up the garden.
Constantly.
So if we can give the immune system a rest by putting in some good food, healthy food, the immune system can take a bit of a break, because a lot of burnout is, people have got different words for burnout. I just call it the immune system factor, the immune system shot. And then, of course, the fatigue. So fatigue syndrome is because people have low immune systems generally, from my perspective.
Look, there is a myriad of chronic diseases because of that very fact. And the big ones that are killing us, we know, is like heart disease. Cancer's number 2, but cancer can be in any particular organ. The heart's one.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and of course we've got, diabetes coming in. We've got, mental disorders. And they're all getting connected back to the same things.
Gut health.
Gut health, big one, and the mental health, once again, later in the week, are the 2 biggest, environments we're creating around the cell. And why is this? Because if you bring it down to the one common denominator, which is what we're doing to ourselves biochemically, switching on and switching off certain genes, as I said earlier on, right, that are producing certain proteins. And by the way, about 2% of our DNA is the best DNA. The rest of it kind of does a whole lot of other stuff. And they call it like junk DNA, right? Because it's less relevant. But
because we haven't found out the use for it yet.
Well, it could be it too, right? A lot of it, right? Because it's still working out.
We haven't worked it out yet, so we just call it junk. We put it aside.
Just
that's pretty common in the scientific world.
Isn't it? Right?
We're parked at 99% because we don't understand it. We just call it junk DNA, but actually, it's probably got a really good value.
Right. Well, absolutely. We keep making more and more of these discoveries faster right now.
It's a useless organ because
the intestine. Was it the appendix, for example?
Because there's lack of understanding.
They couldn't find out what it was for, and they go, "Oh shit, we shouldn't have taken all those appendixes out."
Now we know
that was actually causing this, causing this. That's the other thing. Environmentally, we seem to not understand. And once again, I mean, I'm a biohacker. I'm an enthusiast into understanding the body versus those that have been certified. So take this with a grain of salt, and always get final advice from
we'll just get you certified.
Doctor. Right. I don't know if I can invest that much time.
It wouldn't be difficult to certify
into the system. Talking about systems, let's talk about the one in the body, right? But so this environment, all of it's got to play well together, like you said, because otherwise you get out of balance, or what they call out of homeostasis in the body. And this is what we've done with diet. This is what we've done with our lifestyle in general. It's gone nuts. The pendulum has swung into quantity rather than quality. Capitalism kind of connects in the. I mean, I'm a democracy, Greek thing. It's kind of in my blood, all right, to have that. So whatever that means today, however that's interpreted today, but we look at the fact that we need to get that balance back and to get people optimized. And to do that epigenetically, there are ways to do that. I work with a company with one method, but there's also other companies that are coming out now, which this is where it gets really interesting, is one company that finally is cracking the code, because we want to go, okay, we don't want to just check like our microbiome, which is, through, your poo, stuff that comes out the back. That gets tested to check your gut health. But you want to see how are those guys playing with our genes. Are they playing well together? And then there's this thing called the mitochondria in the cell, which is the little battery cell, right? It's a bacteria. You want to make sure that they are producing what they call ATP, this energy that the body uses
which is
to
energy.
do stuff, which is
ATP
energy again, right? You want to make sure those are going well. And so to do that, you've got to get in that state of homeostasis, which means eating the right foods specifically for you, because we're different, right? Every one of us is biochemically individual, and getting your thoughts healthy, not toxic thoughts, not toxic food. Certain thoughts are better for you than they are for someone else.
And some foods, Tommy, on top of that as well, if you think that the food from an environmental or a spiritual perspective as such is not good and you eat it, there's also the mental factor as well. So
Well,
for me, it's
that's a
about,
nocebo,
Yeah, yeah.
not a placebo,
absolutely, yeah.
nocebo
So it's
effect.
about eating the food that actually aligns with my spiritual beliefs or
Right.
my beliefs on the environment
Right.
as well,
Yep.
rather than just physical.
Yes.
So, because otherwise it'll play on the mind as well. So there's so many levels
right.
to getting that balance right. In
Well,
that
it's
food.
both ways, isn't it? I mean, because the mind can control a lot of
Yeah.
things as we move more into a spiritual
Yeah.
realm. But you've also got these biochemicals going in through your mouth to your stomach
Yeah.
that are kicking off, that are also putting thoughts back up into your brain
Yep.
as well, into the meat bag, the meat
Yeah, yeah.
suit that
Yep.
you are, you know, well, Bruce Lipton would argue that you don't live in here.
Yeah, yeah.
This is an antenna for something connected to a
Yeah, yeah.
greater
Different
thing.
thoughts.
Yeah,
Different
so I don't
thoughts,
have a
yeah.
demarcation
Yeah, yeah,
dispute
yeah.
because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
your area
Yeah.
for later in the week, right? And you're the expert in that space. But yeah, we're jumping around a bit here, but let's just say that environment is super important.
Yep.
And there's choices that you can make in your lifestyle to make sure that physiologically you're giving your body the best opportunity to be at its best from an optimized point of view.
Just like you would a race car or an aeroplane, you put the right fuel in, you get better performance.
Absolutely.
So the question, Tommy, is why, as a species, have we been and how we've been led down that pathway, and how have we got lost in terms of nutrition?
Right.
You know, because
Yeah.
it's a huge one. Is it like, I know it's about advertising and promotion, but what about that conscious choice
Yep.
of
Yep.
saying, I'm going to go to my local shop or to my
Yep.
organic market on a Saturday, I'm going to buy the right food for my body.
Yep.
And for me, it's about, you know, not to be too crude, but it's about, we've become quite lazy
Yeah.
as a species
Yes, we
in
have.
making that choice.
Yes.
So is there a few things in terms of tips about getting that will back in
Yeah.
to support? And are there some basic things you can share here
Yep.
to get people back on track a little bit?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
would be your 2 or 3 top Monday, Move It Monday tips
Yep.
to get people just going? Because there might be some people already on the journey with us. You know,
Yep.
we're not assuming they're not.
Yep.
But there might be some people are ready to take the leap.
Yep.
And there might be others going, I'm not sure where to go, what to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a new paradigm.
Yeah.
You know,
It
if
is
it's a new paradigm, you don't know which aisle to go in the supermarket because
Yep.
you've never been down there. It's like,
Yep.
well, we're going to tell you to go to aisle 6 if you need to go aisle 6.
Yeah.
So what? A couple of tips, mate.
Yeah. All right. So, you know, I guess to put a bit of an umbrella over the point you were making is that society got to a point where more was better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't have an issue now with, you know, it was only the king and queen that were overweight, and that was a sign of prosperity and rich and wealth and what everybody wanted to be.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We made it.
Yeah, yeah.
All of us, a lot of us,
Yeah.
right? Just look at the US. They've got the worst problem in obesity.
Australia.
The kids.
Australia tops America.
Is that
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now?
yeah,
The
yeah.
latest figures.
Yeah,
There you go.
Australia tops America now.
51st
You wouldn't believe it, would you?
53rd state of the US.
You wouldn't believe it, but it's true. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. So you know, we went the excess. The pendulum swung right over where we commercialized, industrialized food production.
Yeah.
You know, and now we've gone from, you know, a potential situation of malnutrition
Yeah.
to where it's now become toxic for us. Not only that, not only too much, but what we're actually eating because of what happened was our values swung out in building systems, right? Once again, environment, systems, similar things, to make it super efficient and kind of almost automated, where it became money before people.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's another topic altogether, survival instinct, right? And then getting lazy, like you said, like not exercising anymore. And we've got the food, we've got everything we need. Now I'm getting stimulated, and then you get industry learning how to get the bliss point happening in the brain, right? So I want more of that, right?
It's an addiction.
It becomes an
at the end
addiction.
of the day. Yep. Addiction to food.
We became damn good at it because of this prefrontal cortex, rationalizing, analyzing. We worked it out too well.
Yeah, white bread and Coca-Cola. You know?
Yay!
Two
Right?
biggest sellers in the
It
supermarket.
picks
White
you
bread.
up and then drops you like a rock, and then over time you end up with diabetes and have a short,
Then
you
you
know,
get
crappy
medication.
life.
We won't even go down the big pharma road.
So tips.
Yeah.
Look, you know, and I've said this before. The first tip is for somebody that's starting out and they've either had a bit of a health wake-up call or they don't know where to start. The first easy, crude, rude rule is start reducing the white carbs.
Yeah.
First place, and if you find it tough doing that, here's here's an easier way to do that, to break it down, is check out the environment in your own kitchen, right? And if you've got white carbs in there, like the white bread, the white rice, these sorts of things, start getting rid of that stuff. Now, the thing is too, that we're not eating enough fiber. Back in the day, we were eating a lot of fiber. Great thing about that is it's nutrient rich, so we get all the good stuff packed in a bigger, actually, volume. So it's nutrient rich, but the bigger volume helps us feel a bit more satiated, so we're not overdoing it. Because you can eat great healthy things like nuts. I tend to be very tempted by nuts. Got to be careful how much I buy each week, because I love them. They're nutrient rich, but they're also calorie explosions as well, and I can put on a bit of weight.
Yeah, it was a lot of fat, a lot of oil in there.
A lot of fat, you know, and there's a lot of good fats in those, right?
But like anything, excess.
Excess. So, you know, even with like, you know, supplementation these days, because a lot of our food, because we have over-farmed the environment as well, it seems with what the research is saying that it's not as nutrient rich. Damn it, the foods look good when you go buying them at, you know, the stores. But then there's the GMO factor. They've made them look so beautiful to our eyes that we go, oh, that looks like a healthy orange.
So it's probably worth mentioning that, isn't it? The quality of the soil, the nutrients in the soil. Is where obviously the food gets its nutrient from the soil. So if it's organic, or I'd even go as far as biodynamic, because that's my background, my field, is the nutrients in the soil.
I've got some biodynamic red wines over there.
There we go. Oh, yeah. I might have a small,
not today.
Small sniff. Not being an alcohol drinker. So, but just that, you know, knowing the soil is really important. So, you know, if you're in a space, always check where that soil has been grown, what's been put on there in terms of the compost, you know, make sure it's not human feces, etc. Put on the paddock, make sure that it's nutrient-rich soil. And then the veggies will have nutrients in them. As long as the soil's nutrient heavy. If it's just full of mechanical farming and it's just been GM to grow in any soil with no nutrients, you might as well eat cardboard. Because it's just a filler at the end of the day.
Well, geez, it might even be healthier for you in a lot of cases, right? Because the amount of chemicals that's been pumped into the foods, whether it's from, it's a byproduct of some sort of production process, or fertilizers there to, you know, increase yields. And you've got things like glyphosate, you know, owned by Monsanto, who are bought by Bayer, and they're getting their pantsuit off right now. I don't know if they wish they'd bought them now, because they kind of took a bit of a poison pill there.
So one little tip on that would be, if you're not doing organic food and you're doing conventional food, I always say wash and peel. Wash and peel. Get rid of the skin, you know. And
well, you've also got the Dirty Dozen. So if you Google Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, Google that, you'll find that, like, for example, you know, if, avocados, even if they're not organic, they are at the top of the Clean 15 list, because their skin actually protects a lot from the chemicals and things outside. I think bananas are kind of up there as well.
Yeah, it doesn't absorb the chemicals.
Doesn't absorb, right? So Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, clean out your environment at home from at least the white carbs. If you can afford to, and you're willing to invest at this stage in organic, I mean, I go as organic as I can, but here's the other thing: we don't want to get stressed over being what they call now, not anorexic, but orthorexic. And what that means is that you've gone so anal that you're creating stress in trying to become so clean.
I've got a few vegan friends like that.
Right, okay.
Don't mention any names if you're watching, but I've got a few vegan friends.
Is that right? It's not talking about me, by the way.
So I call myself
I'm not a vegan.
So I call myself a flexitarian.
Flexitarian.
I'm flexible around it. Right. If I go somewhere and it's not organic, or I can't get that vegan food,
then you just
be a bit flexible. You know, have a little bit of tiny bit of dairy. Like if somebody's got a chocolate cake in front of me, you know, and it's got an egg in it and a bit of cream and chocky. It's pretty nice.
Right. Well, you know? I mean, look, yesterday I was with family, and there was some stuff there. Some was good, some of it was not as clean as it could be. But you know, you've got to. You're picking up on being sociable,
mental health.
It's the mental health side. So let's not go crazy. Be aware that where the opportunity exists, go organic. Or if it's a non-farmed fish, wild caught salmon is the best.
So 80-20 principle, you know, like
80-20.
That's all I reckon. You know,
just be aware and make better choices, and that's going to make a significant difference. So if we had the top three, I would go get rid of the white carbs, clean up your environment at home. Water is a big one too,
Yep.
so that you're not, as far as the excess weight thing, go more fibre, veg, in other words.
Tons of veg.
Right, yeah. And more water, and that's a great way to lose weight.
Yeah.
Go veggie crazy. I don't care about so much.
15 kilo weight loss, fat loss,
Right.
veggie diet and exercise.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There we go.
That was 18 months ago now. Yeah.
Right.
From 87 down to 72 now, 15 kilos.
Yep.
And it was purely getting rid of all that nonsense food.
Yep.
Into the veggies.
Yep.
Big bowls of veggies, as many as I want because there's no limit.
Well,
Veggies,
sugar's a big
just
culprit
tons.
here too.
And take
right?
out sugar.
Sugar is
Yeah.
a huge culprit on weight gain and on health in general.
Yeah,
You know, diabetes type 2, still, it's heading up and up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's sugar is where you don't even know it is, and you get a lot of the millennials will read the back of the packets. And for those of us in the X or Boomer generation stage,
I think that was a dig there. But
yeah,
look how
but-
look how young I am.
There we go. Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, you're looking younger than me at the
Yeah,
moment
yeah,
today.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a bit scruffed up.
Yeah.
But have a look at what's on the packet. Water, fibre. Try and go organic with your fibre where you can, and sleep.
Yeah.
Right?
Sleep.
So I know we're going to go 4 or 5 here. There are 3 areas physiologically: eating, moving, sleeping.
Yep.
And you know, we won't double click on the others. We're talking more about environmental from a food point of view right now. Exercise is an obvious one, but for weight loss, 80% of it is actually what you're eating.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
And just to put a cap on this as well, a cap on the cap.
Oh, there you go.
Do like that?
Yeah, I love the little puns. Yeah.
It was accidental, but it was damn
Yeah.
good. It's too smart for my own good just then.
You lost yourself, didn't you?
I did. No,
Yeah.
here it is.
Yeah.
So fasting,
Yeah.
right, has become the thing. Let's not go super crazy. And fasting's better for some body types than others. But generally, we could all do with a bit of fasting to put the car back up on the hoist for that clean out
Yeah.
of the bad cells that accumulate, like getting an oil change. Let those senescent or zombie cells clear out. What happens when that happens is it allows in, right, and the body goes, oh, we better get some more cell production up.
Yeah.
You create stem cells. They're baby cells that they haven't switched on in the DNA yet as far as what sort of cells they'll become,
Yeah.
right? So they're like an omnicell,
Yeah.
right, if you will. But you want to produce a lot more of those new ones. And when you fast, for example, Dr. Longo, who I mentioned before, when you fast, you go down to about 40% of your normal calorie intake.
Yes.
And it's mainly fats. And so you move into ketosis. So we're getting out of sugar, mainly fats, right? Certainly not sugars. And that's going to help the body about day 2 to do a clean out. You do that over 5 days, you'll probably lose 2-3 kilos, depending on how heavy you are to begin with. But you'll also be cleaning out a lot of garbage, and it'll up your, I think on day 3, your stem cell production goes up like 700%, and it's still up something like, I think 70% even at the end of 3 months.
Yeah, it grows in 3
Right?
months.
So it's still up at 70% than it was than when you started,
Yeah.
right? So doing that every 3 or 4 months, super
Yeah.
important for a clean out as well,
Yeah.
for environment from in your body.
Yep. And that's why sometimes a good break, like for me, if I go bush, 1 or 2 times a year,
Yeah.
I go for 2 or 3 or 4 days, and I get my swag, get my ditch, go in the bush,
Right.
eat minimum food, take my water, have the cleanse while I'm in a clean environment.
There we go.
And for me, because we've got the Australian bush here, we can do it. Obviously,
Right.
for some, it's more difficult.
Yeah.
But if you can, just getting away in a clean environment,
Yeah.
come to the beach for 5 days,
Yep.
to do that cleanse,
Yeah.
minimum food, lots of water.
Yeah.
Some people do lemon juice fast. There's a whole range of different things.
Right.
But the importance of that, as Tommy was sharing, just that cleanse is so important.
Oh, it's
Because it cleanses the mind too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. We're so particular about, most of us, looking after our cars,
Yeah.
right?
New
And
oil filter.
new oil,
Yeah.
every 3 months we see
Yeah.
the little sticker and so, or these days it'll remind you
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the tech,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, time to get me serviced kind of thing, so the company can get some more money,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at least you get to protect your asset. Yet the thing that kind of created these humans, it's like we don't have those, and
Yeah.
we don't seem to be in a habit of giving ourselves a clean out,
Yeah.
or going and having
Yeah.
the checkup as regularly as we should.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
Service, regular service.
right? And the
Yeah,
fuel
yeah,
we
yeah.
stick in our cars, we're so particular.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is it the right unleaded petrol. I don't want
You don't
to
wanna put
cost
di-
myself
don't wanna
money.
put- don't wanna put diesel in.
Can't put the diesel in.
Yeah.
It's a story about my mother, actually. She did. It's going to kill me.
Don't, I wouldn't even go there.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't even go there.
Okay, all right. We're going to go there. Cut. Yeah. Start again.
Cut.
Okay, take two. But you we're so particular about the fuel we're putting in our cars.
Yeah.
Yet here we've been conditioned and programmed to.
Just put junk in it. Yeah. Absolute rubbish. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
and even when we're eating the right foods, that's still, if you want to go the next level, it might not be the right fuel mix for you.
Yeah.
And then you want to get clean fuel mix
and that's
the right mix.
and that's what I love. That's your expertise, Tom. Is it? You've narrowed it down so much now with all the technology available.
Yep.
That we can look at the body type, the mind type, the epigenetics of people, and go.
Yep.
This food is actually probably better for you in terms of your build.
Yes,
your
correct.
DNA structure,
You're
your
exactly
cell
right.
structure.
Yeah.
And I've been working with you a little bit on that in terms of my sleep because I was getting a little bit too
Yes.
much sleep.
Yes.
And I was challenged by Tommy to get a bit less, and I've been doing that.
Right.
I've been going from 10 hours down to 2. Was that?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
No,
Yeah,
was that
actually, he
too
doesn't
much?
sleep, and he's a
Was that too
breatharian
much?
as well.
Was
He
that too
also
much?
doesn't eat.
So, But just reducing that down now.
Well, making sure chronobiology is at the right time
Yeah,
as well,
exactly,
and you're
yeah.
consistent on that time.
So for me, I found 11 till 6 or 6:30.
Yep.
There's like 7.5 hours for me.
Okay.
Is because I'm finding 7 is simply not enough because I just
Right.
need a bit more, but
Yep.
10's too much.
Yeah,
I found a sweet spot. If I go to bed at 11
Yep.
and I wake up at 6:30 a.m.
Yep.
and then I go and do exercise, I feel more refreshed. So I've found my own sweet
Slot.
spot within it because I'm sure it's not exact, because I'm a bit
Right.
divergent as well.
Which it could be. I mean, I'm trying to remember what your reading was when we epigenetically analysed you, but which could
I think
mean
it's
it's
about
okay
7
a bit
hours,
later.
right, yeah.
So 7 hours
Yeah.
would be right,
Yeah.
but
It could
the
be
actual
because
the time that you're going to sleep,
Yeah.
I'd almost pull it an hour, up to an hour earlier.
Yeah.
and
I'm
giving that a
struggling
try,
to try and get
Are
to
you?
sleep at that late.
Okay.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. And
That's
it could
good.
be because it's
you,
winter
you
season.
struggled on the amount of sleep last time too, so
it could be different
we'll get there.
seasons as well.
Right.
Different star patterns and full moons. It's a whole
Right.
range of
Mercury's
things.
in retrograde. We're in the age of Aquarius.
Absolutely. Did you see the stars last night with the full moon? It was gorgeous.
Oh, I saw the full moon. Is it full moon?
Yeah, full moon.
Oh, it's full moon. All right.
Yeah.
You can never tell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes you think it's full moon. You're a day early.
Yeah. So, Tommy,
Right.
we were going to have to bring this to a bit of a wrap.
Let's
at
bring
some
this
point.
around.
So let's bring this around. We've
Yeah.
got some great tips.
Yep.
Go and do a clean out in the cupboard.
Yep.
Go and do a bit of a glut.
Fasting. Yeah, not a glassing.
Go and do
Like
a
gluttony.
glassing. Go and do a bit of a gut reevaluation. What's going on in the gut?
Yep.
What are we putting into our bodies?
Yep.
And starting there.
Yep.
Let's not overtax this. They're great tips.
Yep.
Clean out the cupboard. Clean out the gut.
Yep.
Change the diet. Go down a different supermarket aisle or a different shop.
Yep.
Put some different things in the shopping basket.
Yep.
Reduce it. More
More
veggies,
fibre.
more fibre,
More water.
Yeah,
That'll
more
make
water.
that'll satiate you too. Make you feel more full. The
Yep.
fibre will make you feel more full. Your intestinal system, your digestive tract will love you for more fibre. It just sweeps and it feeds as a prebiotic as well.
And get off the sugar.
right germs.
Get off the sugar.
Get off the sugar. Oh my god.
It's the big one for me.
know?
It's like get off the sugar.
I haven't heard of anybody having a sugar shortage.
No,
Ever.
no.
Right?
Get off the sugar.
Same with the protein shortage,
yeah.
I guess. Well, no, lack of protein. I've never heard of anybody having a lack of protein issue either. But
Not in the Western world.
not in the Western world. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, water, fibre, your environment. That's going to help the eating piece.
Yeah.
Movement, exercise. We've talked a bit about that in previous episodes, and sleep. They're your three big knobs.
Yeah.
And the fourth one will be mind. We'll talk a bit more about that perhaps in the latter part of the week.
Yeah.
Those four all affect you physiologically.
Yeah.
And then, well, you can go to the spiritual realm and the emotional piece as well, which comes back in through the mind.
But for me, it's about the building blocks. I always say, I use psychotherapy and spiritual counselling, but for me, it's the building blocks. Start in the physical.
Right.
Start with the foundation.
Yep.
And it's all about the building block to the foundation.
Well, if you haven't
physical.
got that, then you're not existing as a human being in the human form for as long and as well as you could have.
If you can't build the house, there's nowhere for the spirit to live.
Right, the platform.
The platform.
Here on Earth, in the three dimensions that we live in the structured matter world.
Yeah.
If you enjoy the game and you want to hang around, you've got to look after those pieces first, and that's the part that I focus on.
Yeah. So we have Move It Monday, Tasty Tuesday, and we get into Wellness Wednesday. So for this first part of the week, let's pay attention to what Tom has been sharing here in that physiological space. And if you're serious about your health, if you're serious about well-being, if you're serious about becoming that alchemist, that corporate alchemist. If you're in that corporate space, this is the work to do.
Yeah.
It really is about getting the running shoes on and getting the tracky pants on and actually getting on the field, on the track.
But you've got to set yourself up
Yeah.
right to begin with, right? Before you get into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And this is where we're really falling down as a race in the animal kingdom.
Yeah. And part of that is the wisdom, the knowledge. It's what we're hoping to share with you too, is bringing some wisdom, bringing some knowledge, bringing some insights, bringing some experience, so that you can look as fit as Tommy and I.
at the age we are, perhaps, if you consider us fit.
Yeah, 106 here, mate.
But 106, you're not looking at a day over 105. Okay.
Yeah, not like a day over 40, 56.
56, is that it? There we go.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say is, and not only the information, because there is so much, and I think this is where people are overwhelmed. There is so much. There's the podcast and everything else as well. Myself and Adrian listen and learn because there's a passion for us a lot about this stuff to make it easier for those that want to do other stuff, but want to know then how. And of course, we have our programs. We have a retreat that's coming up. We've got our video series that we're about to start building as well.
They'll come out in a couple of months.
Right. And that's going to be for those that want to do it yourself. Been thinking we may do some group stuff as well down the track. But
and of course, if you can always have a conversation with Tommy or two, one-on-one.
Just message us.
Plenty of that going on too. That's what we do for a living. That's it. We look after people one-on-one and in groups.
Connecting is it's a fun part. I like the connecting piece.
Yeah, we help people create a new environment in their life.
Yes.
Well, how's that for a final?
There we go.
Final little plug.
There we go.
So look, Tommy, great sharing, great tips to take away. If you have any questions, if you want any support, get in contact. Put a little message under here: PM, message, phone, contact, email, whatever it takes.
Yep.
But I'd suggest get going. Get on the track, get on the field, start the game, get some skin in the game. Yeah.
Make the first move.
Yep.
Get rid of the white carbs.
Yeah. There you go.
There's one.
Yep.
There's just one.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. There you go.
Change your environment.
Tommy Glad.
Adrian Hanks.
All right, we'll be back with more during the week.
We will.
Remember, you can jump over to that other side, that LI stage, the
little platform,
and go and have a look on there, the Corporate Alchemist Project page. And if you want to come into the group, you can also knock on the door.
Knock on the door
as well.
Yeah. Okay, you can come in.
Alrighty, you have an amazing day, an amazing couple of days, an amazing week, and we'll be back again soon.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye, guys.